everyone, it's Nell and I'm here today with a book Unhaul. I have 10 novels that I would love to get off my shelves. Let's jump on in and I'll show you which ones I'm getting rid of. The first book I'm getting rid of is The Client by John Grisham. This is about an 11-year-old named Mark. He is out with his brother one day and witnesses something that he shouldn't have. He has prosecutors that are trying to make him tell what he saw. He has mobsters who are trying to keep him quiet, and it's really about, does he tell, does he not tell, the trial. I really enjoyed his relationship with Reggie in this novel. I believe she's the lawyer in this novel. This was fine. I've read a few John Grisham novels. They're usually courtroom based. That's not really my favorite type of novel. They're interesting enough. This is just not a novel that I feel like I'll reread. Most John Grisham novels I really prefer to listen to on audiobook. You listen to it once is enough. So this is the first book I'm getting rid of. The next book is Julie and Julia. I read this again a few years ago. I thought it was really fun. I was thoroughly engrossed in it while I was reading it. I love to cook, so I loved watching her go through all of Julia Child's recipes. I loved both Julie as a character and learning more about Julia Childs. It was fine, it was fun, it was funny, but looking back on it, I don't really remember much other than she cooked. I've seen the movie, I thought the movie was cute. This is one again that I'm not going to reread it. It was cute, it was fine, but I need to make room for better novels. The next book I'm getting rid of is Probe. This is a science fiction novel from about the mid-'80s. I probably got this from Half Price Books, Goodwill, garage sale. This is one of the first science fiction novels that I read. I enjoyed it when I first read it, but looking back on it, there were quite a few things that were problematic. I remember the main character. I don't remember what her name is. She's called Jane Doe throughout most of the novel. She really reminded me of Illyria from Angel, if you've seen that. Our main character is Jane Doe. She is an alien. She falls to Earth. And I believe he's a doctor, Kevin Blake, he's a psychoanalyst. He's trying to help her get her memory back, figure out who she is, what she wants, what she was doing. It reminds me of quite a few things again. She as a character reminded me of Illyria from Angel. The premise of the story kind of reminded me of The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie. It was interesting. Again, I was a teenager when I read it. It was a fun vintage science fiction read, but looking back on it, it's not really quality fiction. It's not anything that I want to reread. It's problematic. It's time to go. The next novel that I'm getting rid of is The Wedding Date. This is the movie tie-in cover. It was originally published as Asking for Trouble by Elizabeth Young. I hated this novel. I hated this novel so much. I used to love chick lit novels. I loved the Shopaholic series. I liked Emily Giffen, I don't know. I used to really enjoy chick lit novels, and I liked British novels, Bridget Jones, but this one, I'm older as a reader, I'm more mature, I have better developed tastes. Even with all that, I think if I would have even read this back when I was in, high school, college, I would have hated this novel. This was so bad. It's not even that long. It's like 350 pages, and it took me at least a month to finish. I don't know why I finished it. I felt compelled to because it had been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, and I thought, hey, I need to read this or get rid of it, so I'll read it. And then I read it, and I wasn't enjoying it, but I told myself, I have made it this far. I'm more than halfway through. Let's see how it ends. But I wish I could go back to past me and say, don't start it. Don't finish it. It's okay. Get rid of it. This book was just so bad. I hated all of these characters. They were too old to be doing what they were doing. The plot was just stupid. Basically, I don't care what her name is. The main girl is going back for her sister's wedding, and her mom and a neighbor mom have this sort of feud going on between them. Whose daughter is better? Whose daughter is more accomplished? Whose daughter is doing better things? And so to sort of help her mom out, she pretends like she is dating this guy named Dominic. He's great, he's fantastic, but he doesn't exist. So she hires a male escort to then pretend to be Dominic at her sister's wedding. I haven't seen the movie. This book is making me not want to watch the movie. There's better movies, there's better books. I don't know. I hated this. I hated this novel. It's gotta go. The next book I'm getting rid of is Dead Until Dark. I really enjoyed the True Blood series. I watched the entire TV show. It wasn't my favorite by any means, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I just couldn't get into the novels. I read this a few years ago. This is told from Suki's point of view, and she's one of the most annoying narrators I have ever read. From what she was in the show, she was kooky and endearing and stuff. It just didn't translate the same way in the book. The book she just came across more as she just came across kind of as an idiot. I don't know if it was her writing style or dialogue. I'm not sure what it was. I just didn't care for the book as much. I may continue on with the series. I haven't decided yet if I do continue on. I'll probably just breeze through these on audiobook. I definitely won't read the series. It's a TV show cover. It's not a pretty cover. I don't like the other covers of the series anyway. Not continuing it. Don't need to keep it. So it can go. The next book I'm getting rid of is The Fifth Wave. I very rarely purchase young adult books. They have to be absolutely stellar, something far out, interesting, amazing for me to purchase them. I probably found this for $5 or something at Meijer, Walmart, something like that. I think I bought this one because I wanted to read the book before I saw the movie, and there was a really long wait at my library or so. I don't know. For some reason, I decided I needed to buy this novel, so I bought it. It was interesting. It was interesting enough. It's about aliens and alien invasion. It's interesting enough, but it's not a great or fantastic series. I do not own the other two books. I read them. They were fine. The first one was, the best out of the series. Most of these books, again, the reason why I'm getting rid of them is I'm either A, not going to reread it, or B, I didn't care for it. I mean, they kind of tie in together. But for this one, the series as a whole, it was fine. It wasn't anything great or fantastic. The characters are interesting, but a lot of it felt like other things that I had read before. Her relationship with, or really the love triangle that she had, kind of reminded me a little bit of the relationships in the Shatter Me series. The trilogy aspect overall, I don't know, something about it just reminded me of Divergent, a little bit of War of the Worlds. It just didn't seem like anything new or spectacular or original to me. It's a, cool enough cover. It was a fine enough book, but I don't need to keep it. Next book I'm getting rid of is the Nanny Diaries. About sometime back in high school, college, I was obsessed with chick lit. I loved Bridget Jones and The Shopaholic, all of those books. So I went through a phase, and these were the books that I loved. However, even though I can look at some of those books and, sort of have nostalgic feelings about them, enjoy them for what they were, there are others that I wanted to like more than I did, and this was one of them. It was cute. It was not as materialistic as some of the other chick lit books are. It really focused on her relationship between our main character and the young boy that she is hired to watch. I really like that about this book, that it wasn't, again, a love interest or anything like that. It was cute. It was endearing. I liked the movie, I think, a little bit better than the book. But this is just one, again, I'm not going to reread it. It wasn't anything super special or, again, there's nothing nostalgic about it. There's nothing overly impressive, so it can go. The next book is She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. This is one of the weirdest books that I've read recently. My sister read it. She didn't care for it at all. I read it thinking I may not. I think this was part of Oprah's book club. This is Wally Lamb's first book. It is about Dolores Price. We follow her from the time she's like 3 or 4 years. No, what time? I don't know. We follow Dolores from when she is a young girl all the way until she's in her 30s or 40s. It's a coming of age story about her family life, her parents getting a divorce. It's about her relationship with her mother. It's about going to college. It's about being overweight in I believe it was the 70s. again, it spans a very long time in this book. So it deals with her being overweight. Deals with her being kind of a little bit of a creepy stalker with one of her relationships, having a sort of, I don't know. This is just a hard book to talk about, a hard book to describe. I didn't hate it by any means. It was interesting. A lot of times I really felt for the character. I felt sorry for her. Wally Lamb, he has some really interesting and unique moments, some very emotional moments, but as a whole, you kind of ask, what was the point of this story? Why did we need to tell this? Why? So, I don't know. Like, again, I didn't hate this book. I didn't love it. I didn't care for it. I'm not going to go back and reference it if I'm, looking for inspiration or anything in my own writing. I'm not going to recommend this really to anybody. It was fine. It was fine. It was strange, weird, and so, yeah, I can go. The next book is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I had read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. That's really the only version of Pride and Prejudice I've actually read. And I thought it was funny. It was interesting. It was a kooky concept. With that one, though, again, half of the novel he didn't really write. He was just adding to. So I was curious, again. I like sort of the horror novels, scary novels, things like this. So I was interested to see what he would do with this. Kind of doing a fantasy horror retelling of history. I don't know that much about Abraham Lincoln, so I don't know how much is factual. But I was interested to read this one. And I didn't care for it. It was, I don't know, it was just very, very boring to me. It was only, I had to look at it because I had loaned it to a friend, and it's only like 330 some odd pages, but it took forever to read this novel. It was not engrossing. I didn't care for it. It seemed repetitive a lot of times. I know that there's a movie of this, but after reading it, I'm not sure if I want to watch it. It was fine. It was fine. It was, again, very, very boring. Seemed longer than it was. I think he could have done a lot more with it than he did. And yeah, so I wasn't very impressed with this. I'm not sure if I'm going to read much else that he's written. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to reread this one. Not going to recommend it to anybody. So, bye-bye. And the last book that I'm going to get rid of is The Devil Wears Prada. I bought this book at the university bookstore my very first weekend at college. I was there buying something that I needed for my dorm. I don't remember what. And I saw this. It was one of the best sellers at the time. And I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds so interesting, so funny. And it honestly sat on my shelf for 5-10 years before I actually got around to reading it. And then when I did read it, I wasn't impressed. This is just one, they all seem so materialistic. I'm not really big into fashion or New York or any of that. I thought this would be witty and snarky and fun and fast-paced, but it was slow. And I hated most of the characters. I didn't care for Andrea at all. I hated her love interest, her relationship. That was boring. The things that I remember, honestly, more of the movie than I do of the book. Meryl Streep was good in it, but even the movie, I just didn't really care for the movie. There's nothing redeemable about really these characters. I didn't care for them. They were just boring people living in a big city, doing important magazine type stuff, and I don't know. I don't care. I didn't think her writing was anything special. I didn't think the characters were special. The story was boring, and this one's been sitting on my shelf forever. I think I kept it because, again, of the memories tied to it. I remember, again, being a freshman in college and having it sit on my shelf in my dorm room, and that's not a reason to keep a book. This book will always remind me of my freshman year of college, but it's not a reason to keep a book. So, didn't care for this one. Boring. Time to go. All right, everybody. Those were the 10 books that I'm getting rid of. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to hit subscribe, and I will have a new video for you soon.